Do you mean in general or for this story?
No, just in general. What pulled you into the investigative journalism side of things? Human rights policies and all those things, but then obviously arms trafficking.
I mean, really, I got my start in doing journalism in Central America, and I was there actually during Trump's first term. And I was in Honduras, Guatemala, and that was just trying to let people know where these people are coming from. But then I ended up going to Venezuela, and I went with Reuters. They hired me in Caracas, and investigative journalism takes an insane amount of time and resources, and so really, honestly, it was joining Reuters that got me into investigative journalism, because as a freelancer, you don't really have the resources to get there, and especially in a country like Venezuela. And then, so in Venezuela, we could just tell that the government of Nicolas Maduro was getting ever more authoritarian, and so Reuters really threw in resources into how he was using security forces to repress people. And that was really my foray into getting into investigations.
When you say resources, what does that mean?
A lot of time and money, to get, because there's a few different things that need to happen in an investigation, right? A lot of it is just me getting the sources that I need, which can take days. And especially on something where people are risking, depending on where they are, their lives, their jobs, their reputations, to leak me information that they're not supposed to leak to me. That takes relationship building and trust building. And then there's the travel involved, right? That also costs quite a bit of money. So that's why, you'll see a lot of outlets and they'll do stories where you call and you get as much information as you can. But something like this, I mean, this arms trafficking story took 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was doing other things, but it was pretty, it took up a lot of my time. Yeah.
Yeah. And those of you listening and watching right now, we're talking about an article that was sent to me by the producer. It says how a factory city in Wisconsin fed military-grade weapons to a Mexican cartel. And then the next line is, a single sniper rifle led investigators to a syndicate deep in the United States that armed Mexico's fentanyl trafficking Jalisco New Generation cartel. And so when I started reading this, it wasn't a complete shock because I've heard a lot about the subject in different capacities. Obviously, a lot of the weapons in the United States of America get trafficked down to the southern border, crossed into Mexico, and which is obviously sold to or given to the cartels, right? This is a common knowledge. Things like Fast and Furious and whatnot. This happens often. But what blew me away was the type of sniper rifle that this article is talking about is a 50 cal Barrett sniper rifle, which is an extremely powerful sniper rifle and something that I've only seen, in the special operations communities, and not all snipers tend to use this one rifle. It's a very high powered, heavy, massive round. And you know, I've seen a lot more people use it in social media for more entertainment than anything. It can reach out and touch someone for a very far distance. So reading your article, it kind of blew me away. And yeah, it became like, we need to ask questions about this. And so like a small city in Wisconsin called Racine was the hub of this. How, in your investigations, did you first come upon this subject or this story?
I had gotten a tip that there was a case in Wisconsin and that I should take a look at it.